Sometimes we have to let go of who we thought we were and the stories we've been telling ourselves to become who we truly are. The problem with life is the majority of it is filled with stories. Stories about who we are, about how the world is, about everything that transpires, good, bad, or otherwise. Are you lucky? Are you unlucky? Is the world unfair, or is it the greatest gift that's ever happened to you? So much of our life is built on the stories that we tell, and the stories that we tell over and over and over again. Because these stories that we repeat are the person that we become. And so often we hold so fast to these stories. We hold on with such ironclad strength to the persona that we have built, the version of us that we are, that it becomes a problem. That when you begin to change, you start to act differently, you start to make different choices. It's hard to let go of the version we used to be, of the person we used to be, because, well, we've built these stories up in our head for such an extreme amount of time that we are convinced that we are actually this person. But you can change the person you are in the drop of a hat. You can change who you are with a simple decision. One of the things I often teach people is to change the narrative of how you describe yourself. And ask yourself those questions even. If you're put into a situation, what would, a healthy person do? Or what would the greatest version of me do? Or something along these lines. You start asking and posing these questions of what would this version of me do? And soon it becomes ingrained in you, and soon it just becomes the norm. And you get used to that, and you just start acting as if you start living that life as the best version of yourself. And this is where we need to get to, that we need to change the narrative and change the story that keeps going round and round and round in our heads. But we have to let go of the old version. It comes back to the discussion we had a little while ago about fixed versus growth mindsets. So a fixed mindset is that I am this way. Therefore, that is all that there is. I am, I'm unathletic. I am fat. I am, an overeater, or I overindulge, or I'm lazy, or whatever the fuck the story is. Whatever the narrative is that you have decided goes along with that. And if you keep repeating that, that becomes your identity. And in a fixed mindset, you believe that you are this way, therefore that is all that there is. Nothing more can change. Nothing else can change, because that's who you are. And that's the end of the story. But it's not the end of the story. As I said, you can change at any moment. You can change in the drop of a hat by making a decision to be a different person, by making a decision to change. So you just then make different decisions. Yeah, you'll probably revert back to who you are, who you have been for a long period of time. But overall, you are now a different person, because you simply decided that you are now a different person. You simply decided that you are a different version of yourself. So you're going to show up as a different version of yourself. And you have to let go of all those things. And I often find one of the most difficult parts of letting go of who you were is, generally when we're talking about these kinds of changes as well, is that it often goes hand in hand with a little bit of people pleasing, a little bit of fitting to the narrative of those around you. And when you change, those around you are like, oh my God, you changed. You used to be like this. And they aren't actually unhappy that you changed. What they're unhappy with is that you no longer serve them the way you used to. The person you used to served them in a particular light. It served them in a particular manner. And you don't fit that bill anymore. Because often if you change, you suddenly stand up for yourself, or you don't want to participate in things that don't serve you. For example, eating junk food or drinking alcohol. If you go, no, I'm no longer participating in that, you're now holding up a mirror to them. You're now shining a beacon down on them of the life choices that they're making. You are highlighting to them the poor choices that they've decided to participate in. And that makes them uncomfortable. Therefore, they'll say, you changed, you're different. And the answer should always be, you're damn fucking right I did. On purpose, with deliberate choice, to become the best version of myself. I changed to be a better version of myself. But it'll upset people. But you have to let go of that version of you. And what you'll find is, unfortunately, you need to have a calloused view on this. There is a good chance that you will lose people along the way. You'll lose friends and family along the way when you step into being the best version of yourself. And it's not selfish to do that. It's the most important thing that you can do, though. It is the most gratifying thing that you can do. That you have to let them go. Because if they can't accept you for being the best version of you, for being happier, for pursuing your greatness, well, the honest answer is they weren't really there for you in the first place. They only cared about the version of you that served them. So yeah, you will change and you will lose people. And unfortunately, that's a par for the course. But those who are truly meant to be with you, those who truly are meant to come on this journey with you, will join you for that ride, will grow with you, who will love the new version of you, and who love you for you, and who can see that this progression is not only the best thing for you, but is the best thing for everyone. That is an exciting new phase, that you are stepping into being the greatest version of you. And that is an amazing thing to do. But you have to start letting go of who you were. You have to let go of all the things that don't serve you, but that you used to identify with. You have to step into the highest version of you. And it's, as I said, it's a really, really hard process. And it won't happen overnight. As I said, it's this weird dichotomy of things that you can, in an instant, change who you are, but also keep reverting back to this old version of you. Because when shit hits the fan, when life gets hard, you don't rise to who you want to be. You don't rise to your desires and wants. You fall to your standards. You fall to your old programming. Because as I talked about at the beginning with the stories, we are constantly telling stories about everything in our life. And life is 100% perception. Life is 100% the perception and the stories we choose to tell about what's going on. But the majority of those stories and the majority of that perception is subconscious programming. If we thought about everything and every moment and every action and every little thing that transpired, you'd be constantly overwhelmed. You wouldn't be able to exist in this world if everything required a thought process. If everything required you to think a little bit more, to make a decision on that. So we also then have to start catching our subconscious programming. We have to start catching the thoughts that just are, that just happen, that just appear, that then can derail us. Because then we keep coming back to who we used to be. And that's not the man we want to be anymore. We want to step into the greatest version of ourselves. We want to step into the version that serves us at our highest level. We want to step into the version that allows us to be the best of us. And I find, as I said, That's particularly the case when it comes to health, when it comes to drinking, when it comes to exercise. Those kinds of things require that you make a really clear, harsh stand. That you let go of the habits, the choices, the decisions you used to make. And you have to keep making the new decisions about who you're going to be over and over and over again. Because, those old ones are wired together. Like I was talking to a client today, and they're, slightly different circumstance. They're having trouble with caffeine for the first time. And they were like, oh, this might actually kill me, breaking this addiction to caffeine. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, I started drinking coffee when I was 12. So for 53 years, I have had at least one, if not 3 to 5 coffees every single day. That's a lifetime, a legitimate lifetime habit to break. So as I said, when you're tired, when shit hits the fan, when you fall into certain behaviors, you are going to fall back into those patterns. You're going to reach for those things. And it doesn't matter how good your intentions are, if you're not aware of what's transpiring, you will slip up. I had it myself. I decided that I need to give up Monster. I need to fully detox from caffeine, but particularly my heavy addiction to Monster energy drinks. All right? Because, let's be real here, I was buying 3 to 4 cases at a time. I was drinking 3 to 4 cans a day. They have little warnings on them that say, do not exceed more than 1 can. That's for weaklings. I was absolutely slamming the shit out of them. And we've discussed before, you become a beacon for your children. And it's not what you say, but it's how you live. And so my kids started associating those with daddy's drinks. They were daddy's drinks, and that's what daddy needed, and they're daddy's drinks, and all this kind of stuff. And that's not who I wanted to be. That's not an association I want my children to have. So I had to break that addiction. But we went away, twice actually. We went on 2 separate holidays over the Christmas break, which was fucking amazing. But generally speaking, when I drive, and we go on long drives, I crush Monsters like no tomorrow. Like 4 on a long, like a 6-hour drive would be pretty comfortable for me. And when we stopped for petrol, that was my go-to. I very nearly let my old programming kick back in, because we filled up on petrol, the kids wanted some drinks, so I went and got them, and then I reached to get mine. And I was like, no, I am not that man anymore. I am not that guy. I don't want them to see that, daddy slips back into these old habits, even though he doesn't want to. Even though he said he wasn't doing that anymore. Even though he said he wasn't drinking them anymore. That, a situation arose, and oh look, lo and behold, here I am once again, drinking Monsters. That's not who I wanted to be. But I had to catch it. I had to be aware. And especially the last trip when we came back recently, I was knackered. I was truly knackered. And I reached for it again. And I very nearly gave in because I was tired. Because I was so tired with it. And that's what I mean when you have to let go of who you were to step into the man that you're going to be. Because the man that you know you should be is a fit man, is a healthy man, is a disciplined man, is a man of his word. He's a strong man. He has discipline, grit, and fortitude. Once he has made a decision, the decision is made. It's not a statement, it is not a suggestion, it is a decision. And all other avenues have been cut off because he has made that decision. He's a man of his word, that if he says he's doing something, it is happening. End of story. He's a man who follows through. He is a man who shows up as the greatest version of himself for his family, for his children, for his friends, for those who he serves. You are becoming that man. That is the man that you know you should be. But you cannot become that guy with a foot still in the other camp. You can't keep rereading the previous chapter and expect to step into the next chapter. You can't continue holding on to that version of you and expect to thrive as this other version of you. You can't be like, oh, just this one time, just these little bits, and slip back into those old habits or vices that didn't serve you. Because you wouldn't be wanting to step into the greatest version of yourself. You wouldn't be wanting to change and step forward if that version of you served you well enough. We don't decide to change when we're happy with things. We decide to change when we are unhappy and we need more. So don't let yourself fall back into those. Don't let yourself slip back into those waves. You have to let go of that version of yourself. You have to let it go fully and completely. Cut off any ties to that version of you. Don't let there be any slipbacks. You need to change the narrative and change the story. Change how you describe yourself. Change how you show up. Change how you talk about yourself to others. Change the stories about the situations that you tell. I had one yesterday, which is one of the stories that took a while to get. So one of the things for chasing greatness is that you must go for a weighted walk every single day outside. Rain, hail, or shine, blistering heat, no matter the circumstance, no matter the weather, you get out there and you get that shit done. So we'd come back from, our holiday, long 6-hour drive, and it had to get done. So I took the dog for a walk, got my hoodie on, my thermals on, the whole 9 yards, and off we go. And it starts bucketing down with rain. Bucketing down with rain. And to anyone who was witnessing it, I'm sure I looked like a complete crazy person, like an absolute insane person. They're like, this man right here needs to be locked the fuck up. And because I now thrive on it, I love when those conditions become challenging. I actually look forward to them. I call them test days. I love it when the universe decides to test me on those, to test that I am committed and willing to follow through. That's great. So I got tested yesterday. How committed was I to getting this done? Because it would have been very easy to just duck under and call it quits and call it a day. I'd gotten some in, but not all of it. But no, I thrived on it. And I got absolutely drenched. And it was fucking amazing. And I just smiled and laughed during it. Because it's about the story that you tell. And I kept telling the story of, well, nobody else is out here doing this. Nobody else is out here in this moment pushing forward like this. Only me. And I love those ones. I love those stories. Because it comes back to that one of the road less traveled. The further you get down that, the further you get into difficult tasks, into tasks that others do not want to undertake, onto tasks that others will not undertake, it becomes lonely. And the further you get down there, the less that people are going to overcome those challenges. And that's good. That's a separator. That's what separates you more and more and more from those who want to be like you, who want to achieve things. So you are separating yourself from average, from mediocre, from those who aren't willing to do what is required. And that's where you want to be. That's exactly where you want to be. You want to continue down the path that separates you. So yeah, I look forward to those ones where I'm like, nobody else is going to be out here doing this. Nobody else is going to be pushing themselves like this. But that's about that story. That's about letting go of the man I used to be. Because I never used to want to go out in the heat. Never used to want to go out in the rain. Never used to want to do those things. I changed the narrative. I changed the story around who I was and made it a better one. Stepped full force into the best version of myself. And was like, yeah, this is who I am. I am the healthiest, the fittest, the strongest, the most disciplined. I am a man of my word. I have fortitude, I have grit, I have focus. If I say it's getting done, it's getting done. If I promise you something, it is happening. Because that is the man that I am determined to be. That is the man that I am determined to show up as. So I just made that decision. I made that decision that that is who I am. That is who I'm going to show up as. That is the best version of me. So I let go of the past. I let go of all the things that I used to define myself by. And I changed the definition. Because you can't keep reading the chapters of the past and expect to step into the future. So you must move forward with full force, with full focus, and awareness of who you are meant to be. So, are you ready to do that? Are you ready to let go of the past? Are you ready to let go of the man you were to fully step into and become the man you know you should be? Because if you are, shoot me a message. Let's get you into chasing greatness. Let's start that journey together. Let's let go of who you were and find out and discover the man you are meant to be. If you're not quite there yet, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, if you took value from this, if this spoke to you, if you know someone else who needs to hear this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But especially subscribe. The majority of people who are watching these are not subscribed. And it helps me, it helps you, it helps the algorithm if you subscribe. So please subscribe, because I'm here every single day, sharing from the front, sharing my journey as I go through this. And I don't want you to miss a single episode of it. So please hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then.